Spies, the shadows of world history, trained to be silent, invisible, untouchable. And yet, some of them were complete morons. In this video, we're diving headfirst into 33 of the most jaw-droppingly stupid spy fails ever recorded. Missions ruined by bad disguises, forgotten code names, exploding cigars, and yes, a cat that got run over before completing its first mission. If you think real-life espionage is like James Bond, prepare to watch that illusion collapse faster than a CIA briefcase on the roof of a moving car. 1. In the 1960s, the CIA genuinely believed it could turn a cat into the ultimate covert operative. The plan, codenamed Acoustic Kitty, involved surgically implanting a microphone, a small transmitter, and an antenna into a living house cat. The idea was that the feline would wander undetected into Soviet embassies and record top-secret conversations. Genius, right? One tiny problem: cats don't care about espionage. On the very first field test, the CIA released their high-tech kitty near a Soviet compound. The cat took a few steps, got distracted by a bird, bolted across the street, and was instantly hit by a taxi. Decades later, a CIA officer admitted the project cost over $20 million and produced exactly zero usable intel. Turns out cats are terrible spies. Who knew? 2. Imagine being trained for months, smuggled into another country, armed with a fake identity, and then blowing it all because you forgot your alias. That's exactly what happened to a KGB agent in the 1980s. He had a fully forged passport, backstory, cover job, the works. But when questioned at a checkpoint, he suddenly blanked. When asked his name, he panicked and gave his real one, which didn't match the ID he was carrying. When asked again, he gave a third name. That's when things unraveled fast. Authorities arrested him on the spot, searched his belongings, and discovered spy tools hidden in a false bottom suitcase. Moral of the story: if you're going to be a secret agent, maybe rehearse your fake name more than once. 3. In 2000, a British intelligence officer stationed in Colombia made perhaps the dumbest move in safe house history. He ordered a pizza to his secure location, using his real name. In a country riddled with surveillance and hostile factions, this guy just casually phoned in for a pepperoni special like he was home in London. And of course, the delivery got intercepted. The name led back to British intelligence records, and within days, the safe house was compromised. His mission was scrapped, assets had to be relocated, and the operation was declared a failure. Spycraft is about subtlety, secrecy, and layers of protection. Apparently, no one mentioned that to the guy who thought pizza delivery and international espionage mixed well. 4. During World War II, Germany sent spies to Britain with the intention of sabotage and surveillance. One of them parachuted in with all the gear, cash, radio codes, fake papers, and a detailed map to guide him through the English countryside. There was just one problem. The map was entirely in German. Labels, legends, everything. When British police stopped him near a rural train station, he claimed to be a Belgian tourist, but then they found the map. Not only was it suspicious, it basically screamed, "I'm a Nazi spy." He didn't even try to explain it. He was arrested on the spot, and within hours, the whole network he was supposed to contact was compromised. Lesson? Maybe print the map in the right language next time. 5. In the late 70s, a U.S. Army sergeant named David Lewis decided to become a spy by walking straight into the Soviet embassy in Washington and offering secrets in exchange for money. No code, no disguise, no caution. Just strolled in wearing his uniform and asked to speak to someone important. The Soviets thought it was a trap and kicked him out. Undeterred, he returned the next day with a manila envelope labeled "Confidential." Again, they refused. On the third visit, he handed over real military plans, still assuming they'd eventually say yes. Instead, the KGB reported it to their higher-ups, calling him suspiciously stupid. Eventually, U.S. officials caught him after he bragged about it to a bartender. Turns out the only thing he successfully infiltrated was a cocktail menu. 6. A Soviet agent operating in the West was already on thin ice when he made a fashion choice that screamed bad disguise. He wore a thick, obviously fake mustache that kept peeling off in the wind. Locals noticed, shopkeepers laughed. One witness said it looked like it was taped on with chewing gum. But instead of changing tactics, the spy kept showing up in the same look, probably thinking he was fooling everyone. Eventually, surveillance teams picked up on his routine, followed him to a dead drop, and arrested him mid-exchange. Ironically, if he'd gone clean-shaven, no one might have cared. But the mustache was so bad, it made him famous in the neighborhood. Sometimes blending in means ditching the cartoon villain starter pack. 7. The CIA once thought pigeons could revolutionize surveillance. Their plan? Strap tiny cameras onto the birds and release them over restricted Soviet zones. What could go wrong? Plenty. For starters, pigeons don't care about mission objectives. They'd fly off course, land on random rooftops, or just refuse to leave the cage. When they did fly, the camera footage was often blurry, shaky, or filled with wings. One bird flew straight into a bakery chimney and never came out. Another made it to the target, then immediately pooped on the lens. The idea was quietly shelved after multiple failures and zero actionable intel. Surveillance pigeons might sound like Pixar, but the reality was pure Looney Tunes. 8. One undercover CIA agent on assignment in Eastern Europe managed to blow his entire operation in under 24 hours by calling his mom from the hotel phone, using his real name, and speaking English loudly in a hotel known to be bugged by local counterintelligence. Worse? He told her the name of the city he was in and that work was about to start soon. Within hours, the local intelligence agency had connected the dots, traced the call, and placed him under full surveillance. He wasn't pulled out immediately. The agency wanted to see just how bad it could get. And it did. He ended up under 24/7 tailing and led the enemy right to a contact meeting. All thanks to a long-distance "love you, Mom." 9. In 2006, British intelligence thought they had the perfect way to exchange information in Moscow without getting caught. The solution? A fake rock. Seriously, this wasn't a high-tech gadget disguised as a rock. It was literally a rock-shaped box with a USB port. The idea was that agents could walk by, connect to it via Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, and transfer classified data without being seen. But Russian security services discovered the rock after noticing agents stopping near the same patch of dirt over and over again. They filmed everything. The footage of men awkwardly kicking the fake rock went public, and the entire operation was exposed. When asked about it later, the UK first denied it, then quietly shut up. 10. During the Cold War, the East German Stasi developed what they thought was next-level tech: camera trees. Literally, artificial tree trunks with hidden lenses planted in public parks to record suspected dissidents or foreign agents. But they overlooked one thing: trees sway in the wind. Their fake ones didn't. Locals noticed certain trees stood perfectly still in storms, didn't drop leaves, and smelled like glue. Kids started kicking them. One got knocked over during a game of tag and boom, camera exposed. Instead of spying on Western infiltrators, the Stasi got caught filming squirrels and teenagers. Dozens of devices were pulled after national embarrassment. 11. A CIA agent once blew his own cover because of vodka and an oversized ego. While stationed in Eastern Europe during the Cold War, he went to a bar for a quick drink and ended up hammered. At some point between the third and fourth round, he started bragging to the bartender that he was not just any American, but someone with very important duties. Then he actually whispered the words, "I'm in intelligence." He even pulled out a random coded note and said, "Bet you can't crack that." The bartender could, because he was a KGB informant. The agent was tailed for weeks. All his meetings were recorded, and his entire network collapsed. All because he couldn't hold his liquor or his mouth shut. 12. In the 1950s, Soviet spies in the US had a clever system. They'd hide microfilm in hollowed-out coins. These disguised coins could pass through hands unnoticed, unless, of course, one was accidentally used to pay for pancakes at a diner. That's exactly what happened when an agent dropped one of the spy coins into a waitress's tip jar. She tried to use it in a vending machine, which jammed. A curious mechanic cracked it open and found tiny film inside. The FBI got involved, traced the coin, and soon discovered the existence of an entire spy ring. That one careless breakfast tip led to multiple arrests. Imagine losing your whole operation over a 25-cent blunder and some scrambled eggs. 13. Assassination plots are already risky business, but the CIA's attempts to kill Fidel Castro reached straight-up cartoon levels. One of their boldest ideas? Exploding cigars. No, really. Since Castro was famously fond of a good smoke, someone thought, what if we just make one detonate? They even considered dosing cigars with LSD to make him act crazy during speeches. But the exploding version made it further into development. The plan involved slipping the deadly stogie into his personal supply. But here's the kicker. Castro never touched the cigar. Either he got tipped off or simply didn't feel like smoking that day. The whole plan went up into metaphorical smoke, along with a solid chunk of the CIA's dignity. Spy thriller. Try Saturday morning cartoon. 14. Sometimes spycraft fails not because of bad technology, but because someone just forgets where they put stuff. In one Cold War operation, a field agent was assigned to bury a package of microfilm in a forest for a dead drop exchange. He picked a remote spot, buried it deep, made mental notes, and left. Days later, when it came time to retrieve it, he returned to the area and couldn't remember the exact location. Pine tree? Dirt mound? Nope. He spent hours digging around, panicking, and making a mess that screamed spy activity. Eventually, enemy agents found the disturbed site, located the microfilm, and blew the entire op wide open. Turns out the most dangerous enemy wasn't the KGB, it was his own memory. 15. An undercover agent posing as a birdwatcher in a small European village thought he had the perfect cover. Binoculars? Check. Notebook? Check. Plausible reason for loitering near government buildings? Perfect. Except one afternoon, a local hobbyist approached him and started talking birds. Real birds. And the agent froze. When asked what he was watching, he blurted out, the red one. The birdwatcher pressed on. Species, habitat, mating calls. The agent mumbled something about wing shapes and left in a hurry. The local, suspicious and confused, reported the interaction to authorities. Within days, they linked the man to surveillance operations. The birdwatcher was quietly detained, and it turned out he didn't even know what a sparrow was. Rookie mistake. 16. The CIA once invested heavily in invisible ink for covert messages, the classic spy cliché. But in one case, the ink formula they used turned out to be too invisible. It faded so fast that the recipient couldn't read the message before it disappeared. Even worse, this happened during a high-stakes operation that required precise timing. The agent opened the letter, held it up to heat as instructed, and saw only half a sentence before the rest literally vanished into the paper fibers. No backup copy, no time to request a new one. The mission failed, and an asset was left hanging in enemy territory. Turns out when your entire strategy relies on a disappearing message, it shouldn't disappear before it's even read. 17. In 1983, a spy working for East Germany had a brilliant idea for secretly copying classified NATO documents. Bring a portable copier into the office, disguised as a lunchbox. Yes, instead of microfilm or secret cameras, he walked in with a giant metal box, plugged it in under his desk, and started scanning papers while loudly pretending to chew gum. The copier whirred like a jet engine. One coworker asked, "What's that noise?" And he said, "It's my sandwich warmer." He got caught within days, not because of tech, but because someone opened the lunchbox looking for snacks. Instead, they found blueprints and wires. Turns out you can't pass espionage gear as Tupperware when it sounds like a blender on fire. 18. In the 1980s, a French spy was given a straightforward assignment: seduce an embassy official, gain access to documents, and report back. Everything was going to plan. Candlelit dinners, flirtatious chats, strategic pillow talk, until someone realized the entire affair was happening in a building under constant surveillance. Cameras, microphones, even motion sensors. The spy had chosen the worst possible location to conduct his romantic intel gathering, the target's own office. French intelligence later reviewed the footage and found the agent had been shadowed the whole time. No secrets were extracted, but plenty of footage was. It was one of those missions where the only thing successfully penetrated was national security, by the other side. 19. A Soviet spy sent to Canada had one job: blend in. Speak the language, act the part, avoid attention. But when casually asked by a local what the capital of Canada was, he froze. Toronto? He guessed. No, wait, Vancouver? Wrong again, it's Ottawa. That tiny slip, said in front of a Canadian intelligence officer working undercover, kicked off an investigation that eventually exposed his entire cover. It wasn't high-tech gear or daring chases that brought him down. It was Canadian geography. As the story goes, his handlers spent months building a flawless identity, only for it to be crushed by a trivia question. Let this be a lesson. If you're going to pretend to be from a country, at least Google the capital. 20. In a moment of sheer genius meets idiocy, a CIA officer once placed a sealed briefcase of sensitive documents on top of his car while unlocking the door, and drove off without grabbing it. The case, containing information on surveillance programs, rolled off the roof mid-commute and was picked up by a curious pedestrian. Thinking it might contain valuables, the man opened it, found papers labeled "Top Secret," and immediately turned it over to local police, who then called the press. The story hit headlines before the CIA even realized the documents were missing. When questioned, the agent admitted he'd done the roof move hundreds of times. Apparently, not once had it occurred to him he might be driving around with international embarrassment flying off the top of his car. 21. In a truly stomach-turning moment of espionage failure, a courier agent was tasked with smuggling sensitive microfilm across borders, hidden in his mouth. The plan was simple: wrap the film in waterproof casing, tuck it under the tongue, and swallow it only if caught. But plans rarely survive turbulence. Mid-flight, while nervously sipping from a plastic cup, the agent gagged slightly and reflexively swallowed the entire capsule. The problem? He wasn't caught yet, which meant the intel was now locked inside his digestive system, with customs waiting on the other side. For the next 48 hours, the operation turned into a very awkward waiting game involving laxatives, hospital visits, and zero dignity. By the time they retrieved the capsule, the mission window had already closed. 22. In the 1970s, the CIA spent months preparing to bug the walls of a newly constructed Soviet embassy. They had schematics, equipment, and the perfect plan to embed listening devices deep within the infrastructure. But once on site, agents discovered a small problem. The walls were made of solid, reinforced concrete, thick, impenetrable, microphone-proof. And they'd already spent a fortune building specialized tech for this exact mission. Improvising on the spot, they tried using alternative wall spaces. But the signals were too weak. The entire operation collapsed, forcing them to pull out without planting a single bug. The icing on the cake? The Soviets had deliberately made the walls that thick knowing the Americans would try this exact move. It was a spy versus spy fail of architectural proportions. 23. One aspiring spy in the United States decided to go full DIY and write anonymous letters to the Soviet embassy offering to sell classified military information. He even included samples to prove he was legit. But here's the kicker. He used the same fake name in both letters and even mailed them from the same town. That's like trying to sell secrets on Craigslist with your face in the profile photo. The KGB was reportedly so confused by how easy this guy made it, they suspected it was a trap. It wasn't. He was just that bad at being sneaky. Eventually, the FBI caught wind and arrested him before he could do any serious damage. They didn't even need a sting, just a mailman with basic pattern recognition. 24. When tasked with blending into a rural Eastern European village, one Western agent arrived wearing a full city businessman outfit, trench coat, briefcase, polished shoes, basically the exact opposite of what everyone else in the village wore. Locals immediately took notice. Why is there a Wall Street banker walking through our fields? Within hours, people were whispering, following, and even asking if he was from the government. He tried to play it cool, claiming to be a traveling accountant, but didn't bother learning the local language or customs. It didn't take long before authorities were tipped off. The mission collapsed before it even started. Turns out, if you're going to spy in a farming village, maybe don't dress like you're headed to a Manhattan board meeting. 25. In a move that practically defined unpreparedness, British intelligence once sent an agent to the Middle East without any working knowledge of Arabic, not even the basics. This undercover operative was tasked with making contacts, gathering intel, and blending in with the local population, while being completely incapable of understanding street signs, conversations, or even ordering food. He relied entirely on a pocket phrasebook and miming, which didn't exactly scream trustworthy local. Worse, he kept using the wrong phrases at the wrong time, reportedly greeting a shopkeeper by accidentally saying, "Where is my goat?" instead of "Good morning." Locals quickly figured out he was no native, and his awkward presence attracted the attention of local authorities. Within days, the entire op was compromised. Mission not accomplished. 26. In the 1970s, a CIA agent in Europe tried to signal a contact by placing a prearranged sticker of a duck on a specific park bench. The idea was duck sticker, ours go time. But he accidentally bought a sticker of a goose instead. He placed it anyway, assuming no one would notice. His contact never showed. Instead, 2 children took the sticker home thinking it was a prize. The next day, the real contact sat on the bench, saw no duck, and walked away. The entire operation collapsed over waterfowl confusion. When HQ reviewed what went wrong, the agent defended himself by saying, "A goose is basically a duck with a longer neck." The mission file was later labeled Operation Foul Play. 27. During the early 2000s, a Russian spy living undercover in the United States got lazy with digital hygiene. Instead of using encrypted networks or burner devices, he conducted his covert communications on a public library computer, the same one every local teen used for gaming and homework. His messages were stored in unsaved drafts on webmail accounts, but librarians started noticing odd behavior. He stayed for hours, never printed anything, and always logged into the same email without sending messages. One staff member got curious, flagged his behavior, and within weeks the FBI was monitoring every keystroke. His entire cover was blown by a library assistant. All those years of KGB training undone by free Wi-Fi and a suspicious librarian named Carol. 28. In one of the simplest and most embarrassing fails imaginable, a Cold War field agent was instructed to burn a packet of classified documents if capture seemed likely. But when that moment came, sirens approaching, safe house compromised, he realized he'd brought everything except matches. No lighter, no fire source, just the papers and rising panic. He desperately tried using the stove, then rubbing 2 sticks together, literally, before giving up and shoving the documents in the trash. Enemy agents arrived minutes later, found the packet intact, and laughed their way back to headquarters. This was supposed to be a high-level operative, trusted with state secrets, defeated by the absence of a $0.99 matchbook. James Bond, he was not. 29. One Cold War spy had a clever trick for smuggling microfilm. He hid it inside the hollowed-out heel of his shoe. Sounds like a smooth James Bond move, until he tripped in an airport. As he fell, the heel popped open, and the tiny roll of film went skittering across the floor in plain sight of customs officers. Imagine the silence as everyone stared at the little black cylinder, then slowly looked up at the guy sweating bullets in a trench coat. Security detained him instantly, and when asked why his footwear was leaking tiny secret documents, he had no answer. His mission collapsed before he even boarded the plane. Moral of the story? If your spy tech breaks when you stub your toe, maybe rethink the footwear strategy. 30. In 2010, Russian spies living in the United States used an old-school trick to communicate, coded phrases in radio broadcasts. The idea was to slip a prearranged line into casual public conversation, triggering action from a fellow agent. One day, the phrase, "The weather is lovely today," was broadcast, live, on local radio. Unfortunately, the FBI was already monitoring them. Agents had intercepted their communications, decoded their methods, and were listening for that exact phrase. When it aired, the FBI swooped in. The entire spy cell, known as the Illegals Program, was arrested days later. Despite years of undercover work, training, and careful cover identities, it all unraveled because they literally said the secret message on air. Spycraft meets sitcom. 31. A CIA officer conducting an operation in Gibraltar had planned a routine dead drop until disaster struck. After boarding a small boat to dispose of sensitive materials in a waterproof bag, he accidentally dropped the package too early, straight into the open water. Then he realized something worse. He couldn't swim. Cue sheer panic. He stood there on deck, helplessly watching as the bag drifted farther and farther away, likely full of tracking devices, codes, or worse. Locals later reported seeing a strange man running around the docks offering cash for any bags that might wash up. The intel was never recovered. And the only thing more embarrassing than losing state secrets in the ocean is admitting you never learned how to dog paddle. 32. In an astonishing lack of subtlety, one spy carried his most important cipher codes with him at all times, written on the tag inside his underwear. He figured it was the one place no one would look. Unfortunately, someone did. During a routine customs check, a pat-down revealed unusually stiff clothing, and a deeper inspection found the codes. His explanation? That's just laundry instructions. The agent was detained, interrogated, and ultimately exposed. Intelligence agencies later debated whether this method was creative or just outright idiotic. One officer reportedly said, "You hide secrets where you keep your junk, you end up with both exposed." Not exactly standard protocol, but definitely unforgettable. 33. A North Korean spy once tried to infiltrate South Korea by pretending to be a DJ. Armed with a fake identity, a cheesy smile, and a box of mixtapes, he claimed to be hosting a cultural exchange program for youth. He even handed out business cards that said DJ Freedom. Authorities became suspicious when his playlists included songs banned in the North. And his idea of hip music was 6 years outdated. Worse, he tried to recruit sources at a karaoke bar by asking, "Do you like secrets?" The South Korean intelligence agency arrested him mid-concert. His spy gear? Hidden inside a keyboard stand. The plan was to win hearts and steal intel. He failed at both. DJ spy, denied. So, still dreaming of being a secret agent? Just remember the guy who mailed classified info with his return address, or the spy who hid codes in his underwear tag? Which fail was the dumbest? Or do you know one that's even worse? Drop it in the comments, surprise us. Like what you saw? Smash that like, hit subscribe, and get ready for even more absurd history next week.